What's going on, guys? It's your boy Los here, and welcome back to the Frunk Club. As you guys know, over the past couple of months, we've done a lot of different upgrades to my Model Y and a couple different screens that we've installed and removed from my Model Y. And in today's video, yep, you guessed it, we're going to be doing another screen for my Model Y. This time, we're going to be installing the T9 Pro Generation 2 from our friends over at Tlyard. So this particular display is a 9.6-inch display. It has a new sleek design, apparently much easier to install, and on top of that, it has all the nice things and features that you guys are always looking for, like your built-in CarPlay, Android Auto, and all of those other great features that we've grown to love on these displays. Now, what I'm hoping that this display is also capable of is allowing our air conditioning to flow well, because I had another screen on there before that was very nice as well. It had an air pass through, but it just didn't work as well as I would have liked it to. And living here in South Florida, the heat is a problem. So your air conditioning running well is always super important, and not blocking the airflow is always top priority. So hopefully this new redesign will do just that. But let's go ahead and unbox this bad boy. We'll see what's inside. I'll show you guys how to install it, and then we'll go over all the features. So come join me. So we've gone ahead and removed our nice decorative sleeve from the box. And once we open it, immediately inside we have our user manual, which obviously goes over all the features of the T9 unit. It kind of goes through all of the instructions on how to install it, the step-by-step process, which is really nice because a lot of these displays, some of them will bring a little leaflet or something like that, but this is actually a really nice, in-depth, step-by-step. And then at the back, you have your troubleshooting and Q&A. So really nice pamphlet right here. I'll leave that to the side. And all right, immediately here, we have our display nicely wrapped. And it does as well come with a little instruction pamphlet right inside as well. So we'll go ahead and open this up here. All right. And there's your display. Again, 9.6 inches in width, which is really, really nice. And you do have, this is a sticker here that does peel off, but it does have, of course, some instructions for us on how to operate everything. It does explain to you how to use the buttons right on the steering wheel as well to gain some of the functionality within the display itself. So we'll go ahead and put this back here just to avoid any scratches in the meantime while we're doing our install. All right. Aside from that, we have our bracket. Again, as I mentioned, this is a Generation 2 display. So it does have their newer bracket here. As you can see, it's not magnetic or anything. It clips right into our AC vents, and then the unit should clip right up front. And all of your wires, it does have a nice pass through here for your wiring. So the wiring should be inconspicuous. You shouldn't be able to see it at all, which is nice. And then here we have a bunch of different little packets. Of course, our pry tool. We have our front camera. We have our AMD box here. This is our wiring box here for our AMD computer. This is how we're going to tap in and get all that good information for the display. We have 4 different connection wires. So we have connection cable 1, 2, 3, and an extension cable, which I assume each one will go, I'm assuming 1 to the display, 1 for the camera, and so forth. So now that we see everything that's included in the box, let's go ahead and head on outside and get this bad boy installed. All right, guys, so go ahead and grab that little pry tool that came included in the box, because our first step is we're going to need to go ahead and pop off this panel right here, and then, of course, pop off the same panel on the other side. And what you're going to want to do is grab your pry tool, just slide it in here to the side, and then just gently pry it out. It is held in with clips, and it'll just pop right out. Once you have that done, just put it somewhere safe. We'll go and pop off the other side, and then the next step will be to just pull up and take this complete dash off. So let's head on to the other side and pop that side off. And now we're going to go ahead and pop off this piece right here, this plastic piece here, and then this running board that goes along the bottom, because we're going to need to access all the cables and the data center port right down here. So we'll go ahead and take this one off here. Now you can do it like this, guys, and try to pry out. But one thing I always like to point out is that you do have your glove box here, right? Which by pushing out here, as you can see, you're going to start flexing your glove box. So what I always recommend is just pop your glove box. Mine does have a code, so I've got to open it up that way. But once you pop the glove box, now you actually have access right here, and you can just, with your hand, just pull it right off. So that's just a little tip of how I like to do it. This way I'm not putting pressure on anything else here. Now, we need to take this panel off right here, and this panel, it's pretty simple. It pops out towards you, and then you lift up. So once again, we'll go ahead and just, pull this off first. Sorry about that, guys. So we can access this, and now same thing here. We can just go ahead and pull out. You can pull with some force, guys, because it's just this clip that's holding it right here. And then as you can see, you pull up there. Now we have this little clip right here. Go ahead and grab your pry tool. It is just one of those pull. You're going to pull on it. It'll pop. And now we can go ahead and we can pull out this entire piece right here. And now we'll put this off to the side. Now that we've got all of that off, guys, now we need to go ahead and just remove our dash. All of this is held on by clips. However, there are some Model Y and Model 3 models out there that if they came possibly out of the Texas plant and stuff like that, you might have a little hex screw on the side here. So before you start just yanking on this, make sure that you look to see if you have a little screw here or not. If you do not have a screw, then that means yours is held in by clips just like mine. So you can go ahead and just pull up, and when you pull up, it will just pop. And all right, we got this side up here. So now let's go to that side, and we'll yank over there as well. All right, and then we'll go ahead and we'll pull up here as well. And you can be gentle with this, but yeah, once it pops out, you'll hear it come out of all of its clips. And now we can go ahead, we'll straighten up our, and then we can just pull it right up like this. And we'll bring it out of the car and put it somewhere safe where it won't get damaged or scratched. So now that we've done all of that and we've gotten the interior prepped, now what we need to do is go ahead and install our front-facing camera. Now, if you're not going to be installing the camera on your car, then that's fine. You can certainly skip this step. But just so you guys know, it's actually a pretty simple process. So if you're skipping it because you think it's too complicated, then you may want to watch it because it's actually a pretty easy process. So the first thing you're going to want to do is we're going to want to remove the bin here in our frunk. And the way you're going to do that is by removing this screw here, and you have two more here inside the tub. And we're going to do that with a 10mm socket and this drill. And it's really simple, guys. We just, again, put that in there. Put this in here. All right, now that we've gotten our screws off, there's two other things that we're going to need to remove. We're going to need to remove this plastic piece up top, and this just simply snaps out, guys. So all you have to do is just pull here gently from the side, and then you'll hear the clips just pop out. Same thing from this side so we don't overstress it. Pull from here, and there we go. And now we'll put this to the side as well. And now, the next thing we need to do is we need to take off this little panel in here. So this panel is where our button is. This just pops out as well. So you just kind of just pull from here and it'll just pop out like that. And then once you do that, guys, you do have this little button here that we need to remove the cable from. Now you can, some of them have a little push pin, some of them don't. Mine has a little push pin. So just like that, you can pull it out, leave this here. And now we should be able to gently pull our tub. Oh, hold on. This screw's not all the way out. Perfect. Now we should be able, there we go, to gently pull this out, and we'll pull this to the side as well. And now this is what the front of your Tesla looks like when you've removed your frunk bin. And this is where we're going to install the camera, because the camera actually goes down here. We're going to mount it right here in the middle point of our bumper. Luckily, my splitter does show us where the center point is, so the camera should be mounted right around here. Now go ahead and grab your camera, and I'm not going to mount it just yet, so I'm not going to remove the protector from the adhesive, but if you feel underneath right here by the center, you're going to feel there's a rubber grommet here, and you're going to be able to use that rubber grommet to pass this cable through, because there's a pass through there. So what you want to do is bring your camera here, right? keep it towards the center. And then with your hand, you should be able to just push that cable right through that grommet. And then once the cable's inside the grommet there, then you should be able to just grab it from the other side. And in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll just let the camera hang. I'm going to set it right here on top of my splitter so it doesn't fall or anything, and now I should be able to grab it from inside here. And if you look right here, you'll see down there, you see the cable right here where I was able to pull it from. Now I can just gently pull that, and now it'll take away the slack here from our camera as we're pulling. And I can kind of line up where I want it, you know, make sure that it's where I need it type of deal. And now I'm just going to let it hang there, but at least I know how much cable I have here. Now I can plug in my other cable and then start running it where I need to go. Now that our camera is set and we know where we need to place it and we have our cable ran through, now what we need to do is go ahead and take our extension cable that they provided and we'll connect it to our camera just to get it out of the way. And that's as simple as plugging the male piece into the female piece like so. You'll hear it clip, and then we'll set this off to the side so that we can, you know, have it ready when we are ready to run the rest of the cables. In the meantime, now what we'll go ahead and do is plug in our brain unit here inside the passenger seat. So come follow me, let me show you how to do that. Plugging in our little brain unit is super simple. What we need to do is get back here where all these other cables are. And in order to do that, we're gonna need to remove this little clip that you see right here. And in order to do that, you're gonna wanna grab your pry tool and just grab it just like this. And you'll be able to just pull it out. You'll see it pop out, and you should be able to just, at that point, pull this here. Once you have that, now we can pull this to the side, and that'll give us access back here to these cables. And now what we want to do, guys, is pretty simple. Now I have a lot of other accessories here, so yours might look a little bit different, but the one thing that you guys are going to be looking for is this cable right here, which is where we're going to get power from. And what you'll do is you're going to plug in this unit right here into this cable. And then, of course, the one that came from the car, which in this case for me it's this one, will plug right back in just like that. Now we're left with this blue cable right here. And you're going to access that one right back here. Now, yours is probably going to be empty. Mine already has an accessory already in it, and that is why you see it that way. But yours probably looks like that. So what you'll do, once again, is you'll plug in your accessory in there, as so. You'll hear it clip in, and once it's plugged in, you'll be left with another open spot. And then if you have any other accessories, guys, and stuff like that, you can always just piggyback them, you know, pigtail them just like that, daisy chain them, whatever it is that you call it. Yep, and that's exactly, and it'll only go in one way, the groove, perfect. And you should always be left, most accessories will always leave you with an open port. Now, once you have all that plugged in, now what we'll go ahead and do is keep this out in the meantime, because we will need to plug in our cable that we're gonna run, obviously, through the dash now, and across our dashboard. That'll end up plugging in here from our heads-up display. So now that we've got all this taken care of, let's head on inside and snake our cables through our dash so we can complete our install. Now that we've gotten all that taken care of, now our next step is to snake our cables through our dash. And as you've probably noticed, the cables that they provided us have two different sides to them. One side has a USB-C connection, as you can see here, and the other side has the exposed cables. Now, the reason for that is because, as you can probably tell, we weren't going to really be able to get these little heads through our little vents here on our dash. So they gave it to us this way so that we can run the cables through and then finish the connection. However, the way we're going to do that is first we need to snake them through the mount for our heads-up display. Then we can snake them through the dash itself. And then we can put it all together. We'll bring it out to the car, and then we'll finish running our cables and we'll get the connections all finalized and our installation complete. Now we need to snake two cables through. The first cable I'm going to snake through is our camera cable, and all you have to do is just USB-C face down, just like that, and just push it on through. And then if you keep kind of just moving around and pushing it, it will kind of start popping up just like that. And then you can just grab it, hopefully here, just like this, and pull it out. All right. And then our next cable is the one we're going to plug into our heads-up display. And if you probably saw, the little packet it came in said that it is to be used for the protocol box itself. So since it's specifically earmarked it for that, I went ahead and used a little bit of painter's tape just so I can distinguish which is which, just in case it matters. But we're going to run it through the same exact way. Just go ahead, USB-C face down like this. And you should be able to just pop it on here through. Now, obviously, having the other cable in there doesn't make it, any easier. So try to get it out to the side if possible. But once you get it in, same thing as before, you should be able to just grab it in there. And if you don't, just use something, a little stick or something to kind of pry it up. There we go. Now that we have these here, now we can work on making sure that they're set up the way we want them, right? Because they need to plug into our heads-up display unit. They'll plug in underneath, as you can see right here. So we want to make sure that if this is sitting like this, we want to make sure that these cables are facing upwards. So we'll go ahead and just adjust those while we're here, make our lives easier. All right, and now that we have them as we need them, now we need to snake our cables through these little grooves right here. And from what the instructions say, you kind of have to get both cables through one groove in order to, kind of install it properly. That's what they're shooting for. Now, I've seen some people cut those. I'm not going to do that. If they're able to do that, then I'm pretty sure we can get it done. However, in order to kind of know where to put it, you got to center this little guy right here with your screen, the little mount. We've got to center it so that we can attach it, because this is how it clips in, is also by grabbing on to these little grooves. Now, what we want to do is center this so our screen is centered. And I've seen a lot of people do that by counting down from here, from the first full groove, and they'll count down 29 spots. Now, the funny part is I still have the sticker here from when I installed my F9, and 29 drops you exactly at this first little circle, which that means, based on what they're saying, that you would run the cables through that, and this would fall right here, which doesn't put the screen very centered, in my opinion. So I'm actually going to center it, and then I'll run the cable through, and it puts me somewhere around maybe 36, 37. But of course, everyone has their preference on where they'd like their screen. I prefer dead center, so I'm going to do it this way. But of course, do whatever is best for you and what you'd like. Everyone has different preferences. But what we're going to go do is, once I count this down, we're going to go and run these cables through though. But in order to center it, what I want to do is I want to grab our screen, and I'm going to go ahead and connect it so I know how much slack and everything I have. And of course, the camera connection goes in the little camera connection. And this one that's marked blue will go here, which is for the heads-up display. And I'm just doing this, guys, so I can center it so I have a full test fit. And then this goes like this, boom. And now we have to see where we would want it. And based on this, I can kind of get an idea. That seems about right. So now that we've got it centered, we'll go ahead and mark the back where we're going to run the cables with a little bit of tape, just to have that where we need it. And now we can go ahead and take this off. And now we'll go ahead and run these cables right through. So let's go ahead and do that. And what I'm going to do, guys, is, again, I have this right here. Put that right through there. And what I notice is if you do one at a time, they seem to be pretty easy to get through. Snake that all the way through. And we'll try for the same one right here. And I don't know why people said you have to do them all on one, because you can actually, depending on how you set it up, like in this case, I'm able to actually do them side by side.
In my pocket, please don't make me pop it. All these boys just wanna copy the style. Tell them niggas stop it. Whoa, whoa. It's my destiny. Feel like Latoya, like it found me my Beyonce. And she shotgun in the coffin.
Okay.
Grinding with the team, making C notes. In my pocket still full of green, call it CeeLo.
Perfect. And now that we have this, we can go ahead and pull this all the way back. Take this little piece of tape off. And now we can snap this right in place. I'm going to take this off here now that I have it centered. So this way I can push down on it with some force without having to worry about damaging anything. All right. And now both sides are in. Perfect, just like that. We have our cables. Now let's go ahead and finish our connection here. Grab one of the little heads that they provided you and grab the cable that is going to be going to your heads-up display, because that's the one that we need to finish right now. And it's super simple. You just grab the little head, right? And you're just going to put the cables based on this diagram. So the red is going to be your red cable and the 3 white will be on the other side. And you just slide it in right here like so. And once you get all 4 of them in, you'll hear them clip in. And you're done. Now this cable is ready to go because this will plug in directly into our brain for our heads-up display. And then the other one, since we still have to run it out into our Frunk in order to connect it to the camera, I personally am going to leave it like this in the meantime to make my life a little easier when I'm running it. And then once I have it in the Frunk, I will finish the connection and plug it in. And then we'll go ahead and get the camera mounted and we're done. So let's get this out into the garage and we'll get this placed right back into the car. So now carefully bring your dash back in. If you have a swivel mount, make sure that it's tilted down so that you have a little bit of clearance. And then we'll go ahead and place it in. And I'm just going to set it here for now because I've got other accessories I've got to organize before I just plop it down here. And I'll get that side in a second. But what we're going to do now is our cables as such. So this cable is going to go this way towards our display, and then this one I'm going to run it up this way and out to the front, and I'll explain to you guys why here in just a second. But let me go to that side and get that all situated. So now we can go ahead and get this cable here underneath, and we're going to tape this down a little bit, guys. I'll kind of get this a little bit like, and we will work on getting this just taped down a little bit so that we don't want to obstruct any of the clips by any means. So we're going to want to make sure that these are placed properly. All right, we look good on this side. All right, I'll just place that here for the time being. And then the cable that came down, this is the one that's for the heads-up display. This is the one we marked with the little blue earlier in the video, because this one we're going to plug right here into our brain, just like that. And now we have a connection. And now once we have this, guys, I'm going to leave it like that for now because we'll clean up everything at the end, but you're pretty much done right here. We just need to organize these cables, get them placed back in properly, and we can close all this up. But now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to grab some tape to be able to put all this down properly. And then we'll get our wire for our camera ran and connect it to our camera. And then we'll get our camera mounted. So, all right, guys. So now what I did was I got myself a little bit of painter's tape here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that, like, again, this cable is just out of sight and it's just not messing with any of the actual cables here. We want to pretty much make sure that these clips here, these little metal clips, we want to make sure that they are not obstructed. That's the main goal with this. As long as they're out of the way, we're good. And I'm going to drop this cable down this way, so that's fine there. Just one or two more here just to keep it up and away from these clips, as I mentioned before. And once I'm done with that, guys, then we're good. Okay. I believe we can set this down, and I'll bring it on this way as well. All right, now let's go to that side. And then we want to do the same thing on this side. Just lift it up gently. Get the cable here to your side. And as I mentioned, we definitely want to make sure that we're not blocking. Grab our tape here and just make sure that we are keeping it away. We want to keep the cable away from those clips there. That should be good. Push these back. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to put our display on. I'm going to plug it all in. I'm going to take this off here for a second. Just because since we already have it plugged in, we're probably going to have power as well. And I already have them marked. This one goes here for our camera. And then this one is the one that goes for our dash since it's marked in blue. Now, what I want to do again is to pull a little bit on this cable back here so that there's no slack anymore. Now that we're going to mount this. And let's see, where's the little hole? Oh, there's the hole right there. So we go into a little pilot hole, push down. Damn it. There we go. There we go. Finally. All right. Pulled the slack out. We've got it here. All right. Now we have our cable. Make sure that we drop it. I want to drop this towards the back here. There we go. And have that cable here out the side. Now we're going to run that up this way and into our frunk. And we'll put all this together. We'll finalize all this here in a second. But when I press my gas pedal right now, or actually the brake, it should power this on. So let's see if we have power. And we've got power. So at least we know that our unit is working. Everything is plugged up correctly. Now we just need to finalize getting our camera installed, and we should be good there. But in the meantime, we can actually, since we know we're good here, we can make sure that everything is placed properly, and we can actually start getting this back to where it needs to go and clip down, just as you heard there. Perfect. And just like that, we've gotten this installed and we're ready to go here. Now all that's left, guys, is just to get our camera done. So let's head outside and get this cable snaked through so we can finish installing our camera. Now with our camera cable, normally with most installations, they're going to tell you to run the camera cable through the grommet that's in the firewall towards the passenger side. But what I noticed is that number one, I don't want to do that. I don't want to cut into my car, and that's the only way that this cable would reach if I went that route, would be through that grommet. So what I'm going to do is what I did when I installed my F9 camera, which is rather than going through that rubber grommet, since I don't want to damage anything, since I swap out stuff all the time, is that I'm actually going to just bring it behind this plastic, behind this weather stripping, and I'm just going to bring it right behind our panel here and up the side. That way it'll reach no problem. And then this way I don't have to worry about cutting or damaging anything. So if I end up swapping this out later on, I can easily take everything off and not have any type of damage left over on the car or any type of holes. So what we're going to do in order to do it the way that I'm going to do it is that I'm actually going to pop off this right here. So we have access to this little panel here. And just like the one on the other side, this should just pop right off, just like that, and up. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring my cable behind here, just like this. All right, now that cable is behind here. The nice thing about these being flat is that I can then go ahead and just hide it right behind this grommet here, keeping it flat against the car. All right, then we'll grab this. I'm gonna place it right here. Then grab yourself a little pass-through tool like this one right here. And then what we're gonna do is grab this and we'll just bring it right here through our panel. And believe it or not, you have a nice big gap here, guys. Let's see if I can find where make my life easier. We're going through this side. And just like that. Now, we just go ahead and grab some of that tape we had in here. And now we'll simply grab our pass-through tool. And then we'll go ahead and bring it on through. And now we have our cable right into so. And now, guys, we can actually finish our connection here if we'd like and connect our camera. So let me go ahead and grab one of these little connections. We'll get that connected, but in the meantime, we can actually even continue to run our cable. What I do is I keep it right back here behind the entire time, because now this cable here will come up this way and the connection will just meet here behind the scenes where you can't see it. We'll keep the cables nice and clean, and then we'll zip tie everything up and make sure that it's, you know, out of sight and out of mind. So now, guys, same thing, same process as before. We get our 4 little springs, put them right here, and just remember, red goes towards where the red marking is. Once we have that, they'll snap right in, and now we're good to connect it here. So what we'll go ahead and do now is run our extension up this way. But now that we know where we're going, I'm going to go ahead and mount this camera so that while I'm pulling on this cable, we don't have the camera moving everywhere and giving us more slack than we end up needing. All right. And now, just like that, camera's connected. And like I said, we will zip tie all this up and make sure it's all clean. But now what we need to do here, guys, with our camera is that now that we're gonna mount this guy just like this, and don't worry, guys, this bracket here is adjustable. So don't worry about that. We'll adjust that later. But what we wanna do is just mount it first, right? And make sure it's nice and center. But before you do that, the first thing you wanna do is make sure to grab some rubbing alcohol or, you know, whatever you have that you can clean this area very, very well. If you happen to have some adhesion promoter, grab yourself some adhesion promoter to make sure this area is super clean of any type of debris or any type of contaminants, so that this tape right here will stick as well as it possibly can to it, because there's not a whole lot of surface there. Now, you can, if you'd like, there is a little hole right here to put a screw in if you want to go ahead and screw it in. As I've said many times, I do not like screwing anything in or making any holes when I don't have to, so I'm going to just tighten this up, make sure it's good. I'll zip tie it on the back end so that the camera doesn't go anywhere if it does fall off, but I'm gonna try it with the 3M first, since it is actual real 3M, before I put any screws in there. So let's go ahead and clean this area up and we'll get this mounted. Okay. Now that we have the surface area nice and clean, now we can go ahead and remove the 3M tape. And we can go ahead and stick this on. Now, luckily, my splitter here has this center marking, which will allow me to gauge right here where the center is. And I'm not going to be worried about it being tilted up or anything like that right now. My concern is just to get it centered, and then I could always adjust it later on. Go ahead and remove this like this. All right, and then like I said, go ahead and get it centered here. Now I want to keep it back, so right about there. And then we will press up. All right. Make sure it's got a nice stick to it. Looks like it did. And then you can always tighten, guys. It's got two little tightening screws on the side so that once you get it angled the way you'd like it, you can then go ahead and just tighten those screws and you should be fine there. Now I'm just hoping that it is centered properly there. All right. And now as you can see, we have a live feed from our camera. Everything is working perfectly. So now we just got to go ahead, put everything back together the way it was, and then we're pretty much done. Then I'll walk you guys through all the cool stuff that this T9 unit has to offer. So let's get this put back together. And just like that, we are done. Now, let me show you everything that this thing has to offer. Let me show you. And now that it's installed, guys, this is what it looks like. What's really nice is that it's actually touchscreen, so everything that you have can be accessed via touchscreen. You have your access panel here for your CarPlay, your Android Auto, AP off, your time, of course, if you want to see what time it is. SWC on, and of course your camera. If you want to go directly to the camera, you can access it that way as well. And then of course you have some other options like popping the driver's side door, your passenger side door, your back passenger, heated seats, moving the seats back and forward. And then if you want to get some more settings, you can click here. And then this will bring us all the way with a bunch of different settings here, from your volume settings, you have your brightness settings, whether you want it manual or auto. Which display, whether you want it dark or light. I also have it set to auto, and of course you can pick the color of the car that's going to be displayed on your UI. As you can see, I have it set to white because mine is white as well. Now you also have here where it can display avenues, your AHD, whether it's on or off, whether you want your time displayed in 12-hour or 24-hour format, and then of course whether you want the American traffic or general in the sense of like speed limits, that sort of thing. Once you go into control, then you have, of course, your tire pressure, your speaker settings, whether you want it to go through the loudspeaker of the device or whether you want Bluetooth in the car. I have it set to Bluetooth because anytime I'm playing music through Apple CarPlay, I want it to play through my car and not through the display itself. Then, of course, you have the manual or auto settings. You have your SWC, whether it's on or off, whether you have it installed on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, if it's a right-hand or left-hand side drive vehicle. You also have your temperature settings. Here you have what looks like proximity sensor settings. And then, of course, your AHD, whether you want it manual or auto. When you get into your systems, here's where you're going to have your language controls, your user interface controls, any type of alerts if you want it to be alerted, or if you want it to kind of beep or sound anytime you hit a certain mile per hour so that it's alerting you that you're at a certain velocity. You can always set that here. And then, of course, your time settings here, depending on where you're located in the world. Here's where you can set that universal time code. And then for softwares, you can connect here to Wi-Fi, guys. Once you connect to Wi-Fi, it will prompt any networks that it finds close by. In my case, I've already set up my Wi-Fi with it, so it should automatically connect. See, connected, which is great. And that's why these all became highlighted, because that's how you update your software. Anytime if you see any glitches in the display itself, check the software, and there might be an update. Maybe Tesla released an update and it's messing with the device. So therefore, they typically will push an over-the-air update that you can also update your device with. But as you can see, that's pretty much all the features when it comes to all of your settings. But when you come here, this is UI number 3, which is the one I like the most. As you saw before, if we go into our settings, we can select other UIs. I will show you the ones that are here. This is UI number 1, which honestly, I'm not a big fan of. Here we'll see UI number 2. And let's see here. As you can see, not a whole lot of subtle differences. We just have it removed the car, added the speed. And then if we go back here, UI number 3, of course, is my favorite, which is this one right here. And then we have, last but not least, UI number 4. And that's that one, which is not bad. I would say that's my second favorite. But with that being said, I will go back to UI number 3. I prefer that one. I think it looks much nicer, much sportier. And then, of course, you also have Apple CarPlay. So if you wanted to go into Apple CarPlay, you could do that. I believe what we need to do for Apple CarPlay is come right here and click our Apple CarPlay. Now, I am already connected. So let's see. Let me make sure that I'm connected here. And there we go. And there you go. Now this is the Apple CarPlay feature of it, which is really nice. I like how it has your range here on the side as well as your battery power. I really like how you still have your speedometer and of course, whether you're in park, and it shows you the speed limit here locally, which I really like. As you know, it is touchscreen, so you can move it around if you need to. And here you have all your other apps. You can obviously use it like this if you'd like as well. And then here you can go into all the other CarPlay apps, which is really nice. And if you needed to access the camera, you could always go ahead and just use your scroll wheel right here. I believe if we hold it in, I want to say, let's see. Nope, it's holding it to the side. That'll bring us there. And let's see, if we hold it to the right, okay. So if you hold the wheel to the left, if you push it this way, it turns on the camera. And if you press it once more, it releases. So again, if I go like this, it turns on the camera. And if I press it once again, it will just back out of that and come to your main screen. So there you have it, guys. That is the 2nd generation T9 Pro from our friends over at Tlyard. This 9.6-inch screen, guys, as you saw, is packed with features. It has all the options that we're always looking for, from Apple CarPlay to Android Auto. It's got that nice high-definition front-facing camera. And I gotta say, the display, the way it was engineered and designed, works very, very well, because not only does it complement the dash very well, in my opinion, but it's also sleek enough that it doesn't really obstruct your airflow nearly as much as other units that I've tried in the past. I know that the previous unit that I had before this did have an air conditioning pass-through vent, but even then I felt that it obstructed more air than it let through. So this display, the way it's actually designed, does a really good job about letting the air flow through, which is huge for me, especially living here in South Florida. So if that's something that's of concern to you, just know that this is actually a pretty decent screen in regards to airflow. It does allow a lot of it through, which is always nice. Aside from that, I gotta say, I really do love the UI on this display. I think that they're much nicer than other displays that I've looked at. The high definition camera also works very, very well. And I think that the install process was overall pretty straightforward and easy. Now, I gotta say that the second generation, I do like their mounting bracket as well, because I did see these T9s before, and I gotta say, one of the things that was odd to me is that they were using a MagSafe type mount. So this being a fixed mount, the way they did it was much, much better, much more stable, less vibration, and it just looks great. So definitely kudos on them for that enhancement when they released this second generation. Now, one thing I would have liked to see them do is with the cables, while I do like and appreciate that they're using a flat style cable, I really wish that they would have allowed the cables to be much longer and that you didn't need to necessarily use an extension in order to be able to get the camera cable all the way in to our cabin, because not everybody wants to cut into their dash in order to snake cables through. Some of us do want to seek ulterior paths in order to getting our cables where we need them to go without sometimes, you know, damaging our vehicles in the process. So, you know, something to keep in mind for companies. If you're watching this, you know, we always like a little bit extra cable versus less. You know, I can always hide it if I need to, but that's just my take on it. And again, I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm just a DIYer like most of you guys. But overall, my opinion is that this is definitely a really nice screen, especially for the price. It's not a screen that's going to break the bank. And I think it has every single feature that most of us want. So if you've been thinking about doing this upgrade, then I would say definitely head on over to Tlyard.com. They have a wide variety of different parts and accessories and different displays available to you for all Tesla model vehicles. And if you use my discount code Mr. C. Melendez, you will save on all of your Tlyard purchases. So head on over there and check out what they have. But as always, guys, I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. Hopefully this video helped you. If you're somebody who already owns the screen and was looking to figure out how to install it, then hopefully this walkthrough really helped you get it installed in a very easy manner. And if it did, let me know in the comments. I'm always curious to hear your guys' thoughts, whether it's about the installation process or about the product itself. So sound off there. And if this video was helpful for you, please consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to hit the little bell icon so that you're notified when I post my next Tesla video. Well, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for hanging out with me today here at the Frunk Club. Till next time.